I talk a lot about the parallels that I see in crypto and the growth of crypto and the growth of blockchain and decentralized finance and all those things with the growth that I saw in the internet. And I'm old enough to remember the growth of the internet. I'm old enough to, have been in college for the very, very early days of the internet. And to say that there are parallels, I talk about that a lot. And I talk about that a lot when I speak to financial advisors when they're thinking about where we are in the cycle and thinking about what the potential is. And so I want to talk a little about what the similarities and the differences are. So the similarities I see in the growth of crypto and the growth of the internet and the path that it's on. One similarity is in the early days of the internet, of course, when all these companies started going public, we saw a huge run up in stock prices, right? All these companies would just put a .com after their name. They would go public and everyone was jumping over themselves to try to get in on these IPOs and on these stocks early on, because as soon as they hit the market, they immediately went up significantly. And we didn't even know what the internet did. There were no people using it. We didn't know what the fundamentals were or anything. And of course, in 2000, 2001, you had a monster crash of the stock market of NASDAQ because there was just vapor there. There was nothing there because people weren't actually using the internet. And there were not bad ideas, right? There was the famous pets.com, which was a colossal failure after their Super Bowl ad. But it turns out pets.com wasn't a horrible idea. It was just really early. There weren't people actually using and adopting the internet yet. And it wasn't until after that big run up that we kind of figured out what the internet was for. The infrastructure started to get built out such that people got online more and they understood what to do with it. And smart people said, okay, once more people are online, we know what we're going to do. Smart people, Amazon and Google and those companies said, you know what, data is really important. We're going to figure out what the value of data is and how we can create new value streams and new income streams and new fundamental information that drives stock prices, but also allows people to make money, allows people to sell things, allows more efficient systems, more efficient communications. That's what we saw with the internet. And it took years for the stock market to get its value back. But in that time, we had so many new companies that completely couldn't have existed before the internet. And now what we've seen, and I say this all the time, that Amazon, more people have become very, very wealthy using Amazon as a platform than people who become very, very wealthy investing in Amazon stock. So I think those similarities are there with crypto. I think we had the monster run up. Of course, we had 2017, 2018, and then we had 20 and 21 after COVID when people were just investing in anything they could, hoping to make a bunch of money with those huge run ups. And we've come way back down. But now we're starting to see that infrastructure growth. Now we're starting to see institutions adopt and actually utilize the system. We're starting to see Visa and MasterCard, PayPal, Shopify. We're starting to see banks like Citi and Deutsche and JP Morgan actually utilize the systems. And we're starting to see more infrastructure get built. And we're going to figure out what we use it for. And what we use it for is not going to be speculation. The difference between crypto and the internet is the internet didn't have to go through all the regulatory hurdles because they weren't inventing a new financial system. They weren't creating out of thin air a way for people to invest in these things. They had to actually go through an IPO stage. They had to go through heavily regulated systems to get to that stage where you and I and casual individuals could invest. They weren't creating a whole new financial system. On top of that, the internet didn't have the internet already. They didn't already have Twitter and LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram and all these different social posts. They didn't have influencers at the time that could actually drive people to go do something. It was very early on. So crypto now is built on top of the internet, and you have all these people that are influencers trying to get others to invest. You already have people connected all over the world via the internet, and you have those hype cycles that are much faster and much bigger. And that's the hurdle that crypto is having to get over, is saying, we're not just a viable network and viable system that people can use to be more efficient, both from a financial standpoint and from a tracking data asset standpoint, but they're having to go over the hurdles of, we're also a financial system. We're going to have to compete with financial incumbents. We're going to have to compete with regulators who don't want us to be around anymore, or think that we're all there because of that speculation, or think that we're all there for illegal or nefarious purposes. We have to get over that hurdle as well. But the positive side, a very, very similar cycle. On the negative side, you see where, crypto has to get over some things that the internet didn't have to do. But it's still there. You had the big run up. You had a lot of hype. hype. You had a lot of people throwing money in, a lot of people lost money. And now we're building the infrastructure so that in the next 5 or 10 years, this will just be ubiquitous. It will just be, and we won't think of it as blockchain or crypto. It will just be data. It will just be the financial system. And whether or not we all understand how it works, we will all be using it.